So here we are at Kafka's grave. This is a Jewish cemetery, and it's situated about 20 minutes outside of the city centre, and that, of course, is significant. Kafka, a German-speaking Jew in Prague, he was an outsider, and it took a little bit of time to get here. And Kafka carried with him this sense of alienation, this sense of, in a sense, of always looking in on society, or looking in from the outside. And that was true also of existence. You know, his existentialism, his sharp sense of the absurd, his sharp sense of the weirdness of life marked every economical phrase in his texts. And this idea of being an outsider, or this feeling of being on the outside, is typical of climate anxiety. When you look at the way in which the media portray the climate crisis, or the ways in which schools teach the climate crisis, it's not yet the case that most people get it. So you hear details spoken in the media, or you hear details in school explaining climate change, but it's kind of clear to people who do get it, if you do have a systems understanding of the crisis, then when these people are talking who don't get it, who haven't seen things from this very clear vantage point, then what they say just seems weird to you. It's like, yeah, but you wouldn't say that, you wouldn't emphasize that detail, or you wouldn't make that argument if you had a clear understanding that doing nothing, for example, would cause a systems collapse. Or, for example, on the BBC, and one of the details in the book is that the BBC did report on the fact that glaciers in the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush, will melt at such a rate that will endanger the fresh water supply for 2.5 billion people. Now, the fact that that was spoken but then wasn't a major news item which stayed at the headline of the news for a long time is just weird. And it's the same for the amok, the destabilization, or the slowing down of the amok would lead to absolute chaos in all these systems, and yet it doesn't even feature in the news. So sometimes it's the fact that the details in the news are not put in the right framework, or they're just ignored, or they're spoken almost casually, when the fact is that these are like major points which should be causing huge consequences for how we think and how we act and how we organize economic and energy infrastructures. So it's one of the key features of understanding the climate crisis from this proper systems perspective is the fact that you get it. And once you get it, unfortunately, there's not enough people, or not many people around, who have the same systems perspective. So having the feeling that you're an outsider is a very appropriate place to come here to recognize that feature of having this full systems perspective. I've been here a little while, and I just want to show you one detail from the grave, because lots of people have been here and they've left little messages for Kafka, and I'm just going to pick out one. Of course, I'll put it back. It says, "Anyone can be an artist." And I think that's a beautiful thing to leave as a message here, because this sense of being an outsider for Kafka was not something that he buried or he suppressed. It wasn't something which he tried to ignore. He leant on it and he used it, and he created these extraordinarily simple but effective masterpieces which portray this sense of being alienated and the world being just a little bit crazy. And I think one of the key features of the Climate Academy textbook and program is that we are totally committed to the truth, whatever that is. If the science says this, then that's what the science says. The laws of physics and chemistry can't be changed. And the consequences for the economy or certain sectors of the economy can't be changed. So there's a kind of boldness about Kafka in his work, where he just squared up to his existential angst. He squared up to his feelings of estrangement and absurdity. And that's just a requirement of being, in a sense, an honest human being. But that ability to square up to the truth like that led him to just the most wonderful bits of creativity. And finally, one of the features of his work is irony, because in some ways it looks really dark what he does. We're here in a grave style, his grave. Kafka's works are full of a kind of claustrophobia, but one of the amazing things about what he does is that he imbues into that, let's say, confrontation with existence, an ability to flip it with irony. And I think if you're thinking about doing poetry or doing music or doing any kind of art form, any kind of publication for the Climate Academy, then it's in a sense critical to think about the power of irony, because with irony you don't have to dilute any of the dark stuff or the hard stuff. It stays there, but it's made digestible, or it's made powerful. It's made engaging through the use of humor. And yeah, if we have more time, we could look up. There's some people have left slightly funny comments as well. So yeah, here's to Franz Kafka.